I just did a video where I was talking about Gretchen Whitmer's accomplishments and achievements as state representative and state senator. Now, I was going to include the governor accomplishments in that, but then the video would have been too long, and unfortunately, people just have the attention span of a gnat. So I'd have to separate the videos, and hopefully, some of my Democrat friends can share some of these videos to let these swing voters know that the two parties aren't the same. Um, just so you know, even though you can kind of make the argument to say that they're almost the same when it comes to the foreign policy and the wealth tax for the rich, um, or the wealth tax cuts for the rich, is that they're massively different when it comes to the domestic, social, and economic policy. There just is a difference. It just is. So when I look at this list of, and I made this Facebook post back in November of 2021 because this was when Whitmer announced her reelection bid, and she got reelected, luckily. So the first thing that's on this list is she announced an executive directive intended to make 200,000 more workers eligible for overtime pay. Well, the Trump administration stiffed tons and tons of workers of overtime pay. So let me repeat myself. When Bush was president, there was a rule put in that said that if you make $23,000 a year or under, you're eligible for overtime pay. President Obama got in and he raised that threshold from 23,000 to 47,000. Trump got in, he lowered it down to 35,000. President Biden gets in and he raises it to 55,000. Make an argument to say that that's the same. Now, that's just the first thing on the list for her accomplishments as governor. Now, she went to court to try to stop a crude oil pipeline plan through the Straits of Mackinac approved under her predecessor, that was Republican Governor Rick Snyder, who basically got away with manslaughter. She reformed no-fault auto insurance that saved citizens $120 a year on auto insurance. Now, again, some people may not consider that much, but for some other people, it's an amazing thing. It really depends on who you ask. But nevertheless, some people were benefited from that. She ran on fix the damn roads. Well, the damn roads are getting fixed all over the place because I'm seeing a bunch of roads and streets get fixed that otherwise would have never been touched, at least from the ones that I've seen now. There's plenty of others that still need a fixing up, but again, we're getting there. Hopefully some of them will be, and I've seen of them over. They worked on Vinoy, parts of Van Born, Wick Road over there by Wayne. So there's a number of parts of the damn roads that are getting fixed. She signed a bill that increased access to emergency insulin. She signed a bill that expands college scholarship eligibility. She united Democrats and Republicans to pass the largest K through 12 funding increase for students in Michigan's history without raising taxes. Criminal record expungement. She signed legislation that will automatically clear certain criminal convictions from public view in Michigan while also making more people eligible for expungement through the application process. This one's for the women. She ended the tampon tax. Yeah, a lot of us didn't even know that was a thing until she signed it. Well, I didn't know that, and some people that I know, mostly guys, didn't know that was even a thing. She signed a bill to legalize internet gambling and sports betting. She signed a bill to reform criminal justice system by raising the age from 17 to 18 at which accused offenders are routinely treated as adults. She put out a budget that expands low or no-cost childcare to over 105,000 more children. She put out a budget that gives a one-time $1,000 bonus to child care workers, put out a budget that generates about $40 billion in private investments, and announced $3 billion in refunds for Michigan drivers. Now, there's a controversy going on that she met with the current guy in the White House, and a lot of Democrats are already writing her off as a candidate. Well, keep in mind, the only reason why I possibly wrote her off as a candidate, not that I have anything against her, but because we lost with two women in the past. And you had three people run against Trump. Two women, one man. The man beat him, even though his campaign wasn't as good as the two women's campaign. They ended up losing to him. So just based on that alone, I'd say I don't know if I think that she is presidential material, but I don't know that the country is going to go that route because the country is still greatly sexist. They won't admit it. That's why they got to come up with a bunch of dumb criticisms against Harris, like, oh, she didn't go on Rogan and all this other BS. But if Whitmer decides to run for president, I need, again, I've met Whitmer 4 or 5 times in person before she got elected the first time. I don't know the chances of her seeing this video. But Whitmer, if you're seeing this, if you run for president, emphasize those things repeatedly. Anybody who's around Whitmer, her staff, her campaign people, close friends, family, people that I know that worked closer with her campaign than I did, if you are promoting her for president and you want her to run, emphasize those things. Now, the controversy that I'm going to get to in another video with the whole thing with her meeting with Trump, I'm going to talk about that in another video, and I'm going to give my thoughts on that. I have a feeling that that video is going to be longer than this one, but I do want to put that information out there just so people have the facts. And if you're watching this on Facebook, the link to my YouTube is in my comment section. The links, if you go to my About section on YouTube or Facebook, the links to my other socials are there as well. Instagram, TikTok. I have Twitter, but don't really use it as much, but nevertheless, it's there. I don't know how much longer I'll have it. Don't do much with it anyway. But anyway, I'm just putting that out there. That's that for now. Stay tuned.